Advanced Algebra Chapter 5, Lesson 3, going to wrap up looking at these parabolas, at least from an introductory standpoint, and looking at another form of the equation, and that is called the vertex form of the equation. We looked at standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. We looked at the equation when there was no linear term, ax squared plus c. We want to look at vertex form, how we can use vertex form to help us sketch a graph, and then how we write the equation in vertex form, given information, whether it be in a word problem or given information. Now, this all ties in very closely to something we did earlier this year with absolute values. So let me just review that for us so we kind of can maybe connect to something we already know. You remember with absolute values, we had the parent function, which was a vertex at the origin, and the slope of the rays was a 1, and that was all given by this equation. Then as we started adjusting or adding values to this equation, it changed where this v was in the coordinate plane. In other words, if we added a value outside here, say let's add 2, we remember that moved the vertex up 2. Okay, or if I changed it and I did a -2, okay, that moved it down 2. So this number outside, whatever it was, moved it up or down. Okay, so we remember that. And again, this could be any number, so whatever that value was. So let's just call it k. Okay, so that moved it up or down. Then if we wanted to move this v left or right, you remember, we would change the expression inside. So we would subtract and we would put a number in here. And remember, that moved it the opposite direction. So a -2 moved it to the right. A +2 moved it to the left. But this number changed it horizontally. So it was what we call a horizontal shift. And again, it could be any number. So let's say we made this minus h. Okay, so if we put those both together, this h would be the shift right or left, and this k would be the shift up or down. That actually would be the vertex point, because remember, we moved the vertex. We took the vertex and we moved it right or left, the h value, and then we moved it up or down, the k value. So wherever it ended up, actually the h and the k would be the coordinate of the vertex. Okay, so remember we did that. We didn't talk about h and k when we did that, but I'm putting that in now so you can see how it ties together with what we're doing. Then if we wanted to change the slope of the rays, remember we put a number in front of the x, or in front of the absolute value. And so let's use that as our a. So hopefully you see how this is all tying together, or hopefully you will see. And then if we wanted the v to go upside down, we would put a negative sign in front. Okay, and so if we wanted to categorize or put all these shifts and transformation in the equation, we would take our parent function, and then each one of these letters represents a stretch or a shrink if it's in front, a move right or left if it's here, and a move up or down if it's out here. And again, this h and this k is the actual location of the vertex. All right? So all of that to say is those are the same things that are going to be happening with our vertex form in our parabola. Okay? All of those exact same things are going to apply. So let me jump over here. So here we have our parent function, y equals x squared. If we put a negative sign in front, that's going to reflect it upside down. If we put a value in front of the x squared terms, that's going to stretch it or shrink it. All right, and then if we have the h or k, the h will move it to the right or left. Notice it's next to the x square, and then the k is going to move it up or down. So if you put all these together, what we have is the vertex form of a, don't move that, the vertex form of a quadratic. And so each one of these letters represents something that's happening to the quadratic. So again, the negative sign is a reflection over the x-axis. The A is going to be a stretch or a shrink. The H is going to be the shift right or left. And the K is going to be the shift up or down, just like we had with our absolute value. Okay, so just remember this horizontal shift is inside parentheses, and this whole thing is squared. All right, so this is called the vertex form of a quadratic. Right here we have it, the vertex form of a quadratic, and all of these values represent something that's happening to the graph. And then again, the h and the k, remember, now are going to be the x and the y of the vertex. And the reason we use h and k is because obviously if we put another x in here for the x value of the vertex and another y in here for the y value of the vertex, then we wouldn't know. We'd have two y's and two x's, and we wouldn't know which what is what. So h and k is the mathematical terminology that you're going to see throughout these equations that represent the vertex being shifted to the right or horizontally, and then they shift vertically up or down. Okay, so that's the introduction to it, and in the next video we'll talk about how to write these equations once we know that. But the main thing here is that we know, whoops, not where I wanted to go, is that we know what the vertex is, vertex form is, and then what each value of these represent.